Okay, it's 2 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to start off the pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First, hope everyone had a chance to review the minutes. They read second. First moved by legislator Martino, second by legislator Twist. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that's carried. And the first item up is a resolution authorizing the budget modification to the Department of Solid Waste, highway and street equipment. If I could just briefly, I'm sure most of you remember a couple of years ago, we spoke with Mark and he had brought it to my attention and the committee's attention about some of the aging equipment. It was big equipment and expensive equipment. And I often joke with him about it. I said, you know, a lot of our budgets are often on the red or close to the red and the black. And I believe my comment to Mark was, well, when you get that thing a little further in the black, you know, we'll talk about this. And it was kind of a joke. And I actually, through a lot of hard work, and since then, Mark's been very successful in doing that with several projects. One included a cleanup in Fulton at the Methodist plant and some other things to really help them push over that way. So now this year, Mark says, hey, remember that conversation? That's what brought this forward. And what it is, it's for the purchase of a D7 for use in the landfill and an articulating truck. If you'd like to say something, Mark?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to introduce Carl Schmidt. I don't know if you guys know Carl. He's the operations manager. He's going to be championing this through personnel and finance and the full legislative meeting. I'm going to be out for a couple weeks. So it's going to be on his shoulders on the big day. So I figured I'd bring him along. Yeah, as you can see, I sent out a couple pictures. This is some really old tired iron, and this stuff that we use every day in the landfill. You know, when it's down, it really hurts us. And that seven's been down twice. I mean, we had to pull pistons and replace leads, and you know that's not a quick turnaround time, and that's something that we depend on. And the price tag on that is about $750,000 for a new dozer. It kind of took me back in the seat when I got the price tag on it. And the articulated trucks, we don't use them every day, but when you need them, you need them. And you can see those ones we have haven't been manufactured since 1992. So there really is no parts. We've cannibalized 2 of them to keep 2 going, but even that is getting pretty tough to keep them going. So with that one, we didn't think it was worth spending $450,000 for a new truck. So we thought, you know, get one that's a couple years old with some hours on it, it would really meet our needs. With that, I just want to remind you that this money's coming out of solid waste reserves, not the county's reserves. And right now we have $8.5 million in our reserves.
Good. First by legislator Martino, second by legislator Holt. Any other questions?
One quick question. Mark, the dozer, are you gonna keep that around for a backup? Or are you gonna trade it in?
We
What's your,
could
What's your
probably see
thought?
if there's any trade-in value to it. I mean, it's tired and it really needs an undercarriage. And you're talking probably 80,000 to do an undercarriage on that. And you know, when the tracks break on it, then you're done, and now you really can't even move it. So
We do have another machine that'll become the reserve dozer.
oh, okay.
yeah, we always have 2. We have to by permit. It's a smaller, it's a 6, and that's 4 years old. So,
I remember when we purchased that. So.
yeah. So yeah, no, by permit, we have to have a backup plan because we have to have equipment on there. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Just one, is any parts on what you just said good for the other one?
No, totally different.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Next on the IC2 would be resolution authorizing the acquisition of certain easements in connection with the County Route 176, Howard Road Sewer Extension Project in the town of Holly. Most of you are familiar with it. I don't know if, Brandon, do you want to say anything regarding the easement?
No, because I'm unaware that there's a.
I can speak to it.
Ah, understood. Go ahead.
Yeah, Dave Turner asked me to prepare a resolution to obtain these easements. There are other easements that will be necessary in connection with the project. Obviously, on private property, if they're not willing to grant an easement for, $1 nominal consideration, a fair market payment would have to be determined. And Dave and I have talked to some people about that. So right now, it's just the two easements. If there are other easements, they'll come back before the board.
Is there a chat?
Rich, could this be costly? I mean, can eminent domain be pushed because it's a public utility?
Eminent domain can be used but consent is always better. If you can obtain consent of the property owner, it's better. And some people view sewer as a benefit.
It absolutely is.
So they may not want market or full consideration. Others may want their payment, and there's a company that specializes in those appraisals, and it's generally run so many feet of line for the district. It's so much per foot. So if the yard's 100 feet, it'd be whatever that figure is times.
So do you have an example? Of
I don't know
fee
what
would
the
be?
valuation is. Neither does Dave at this point. That's one of the questions I had prior to the authorization to obtain these. B&L has a report saying that certain easements will be necessary. They may have some expertise in-house. I don't know what they've done. If not, we'll have to figure out. Obviously, for eminent domain purposes, it's fair market value for purposes of an easement. An easement that benefits the property, it's 10 feet underground. Yeah, you're not talking a lot of money typically.
I know a lot of the people were spoken, and they had the chance to go to the town hall and speak about it before. But, and a lot of the people are all for it, so I don't foresee it being a big issue.
But I don't wanna do eminent domain because they'll come after me.
Well, I just don't want to get scalped financially.
No eminent domain will occur unless authorized by the legislature. And I suggested today that we get, some linear approximation of what the easements were. And mind you, they're permanent easements for the pipe and pumping stations. There's also temporary construction easements that we'll need to obtain. And sometimes that's, one property owner doesn't want stuff put in their yard. Another property owner says, hey, I don't care. And highway obtains these temporary easements for construction purposes as well, frequently. So we'll see. Maybe I can talk to Dave and B&L and get you some more information on the valuation side of things.
Okay.
I do think too, now are they gonna have to pay for that when it goes in front of their house, or is this going to be,
That's a function of how the town district is established, whether there's a unit charge. This has been dormant so long, I don't know if they're paying that charge already or not. The district has been formed.
because usually if you start, well, it's not gonna cost you anything. If they'll sign the easement, but if you've got to pay to have it put in front of your house, then they'll,
Those districts vary.
because they did with water too.
My God, the benefit to the property.
Mm-hmm.
Not to mention. our other
Extraordinary.
property.
I would think it would always cost to hook to, it did in Fairhaven Bay, to hook to the sewer. Even if.
I imagine there'd be a cost if you tie into it.
If you
Yeah.
want to.
If you use it, yeah, it's again, how the district's structured. That's not really the county's side of things. The resolution does state that if anyone refuses to give an easement, that the engineer is to report back within 30 days to the county. So at least we know where we are.
When we had the first plans drawn up years ago, what they were gonna do was put a hookup in front of each house. And then if you wanted it, you just paid for the hook to into your house.
That's typically the way.
Yeah, so I don't know, if they kind of like that idea too, because the next person may want it. Hopefully that's.
Understood. Motion to move. First by legislator Martino, second by legislator Twist. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Resolution ID 3, establishing the capital project number 96, Mill Street over 9 Mile Creek. Touch base on it first.
Yeah, I brought this up last year because we got a red flag on it. We temporarily fixed what we needed to fix on it, so we could get the blessing back from the state to open it back up without any road restrictions on it. And then further investigated it and decided that we need to put beams and decking on it. So it'll be just the, superstructure, no substructure going into it. And, we also have, I talked with Phil, actually Phil called me and said we got some OTAS money available. So we're gonna take it out of there and have it done by the end of September. Hopefully.
No.
I just had to throw that in there on the here.
Motion to move by legislator Holst, second by legislator Twist. Any questions?
I think it's a county bridge.
Yeah, it's on Cemetery Road in Hamlet. And we're backless, Christmas tree farming.
Yeah.
It's on that road.
Is that a county route?
It's not a county road, it's a county bridge.
It's over 25 feet?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's ours.
So anything over 25 is ours.
Usually has a VIN number associated with it.
How big's Thompson?
Not big enough. He's trying to make one Rathburn Road come to us, too.
No, he wants you to have the one up over.
Yeah, the one on Rathburn Road goes over the railroad.
I disregard everything he says.
I understand that.
Okay, any more questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, resolution number 4, is the authorizing the expenditure from the unappropriated fund balance, capital project number 97. This is for the building and grounds. I know this was part of the 5-year plan that we had discussed before. John?
Like solid waste, I have some worn out equipment. Our 2 John Deere tractors are 1991. One has a knock in the engine and has no occurrence. Just says they're not going to replace it, repair that. It'll have to be, once it dies, it dies. The other one is on in hours and age as well. We have a trailer that we transport bobcats and other equipment around to other sites while we work that is rusting out and kind of unstable, so kind of bundled in. And then what I'm also doing is looking at a new tool cat that we use at the complex. Support Camp Hollis stuff throughout the year, and the other county projects could use that at several locations, well, in the spring and summer for cleanup and things. So it's all bundled into one for $123,000.
I know that you'll be able to utilize this at multiple facilities as opposed to kind of the other trailers. First by legislator Martino, second by legislator Twist. Any questions? All in favor? All right. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay. To bid reports. Did you want to cover these, Bill, or?
Mark, you familiar with rejected trash?
Okay, the first one is OSW 001-9, closed ejector trailer.
Yeah, these are the big red trailers that you see us hauling all our waste and recyclables in, and these after about 13 years, we repair them, but they start to rot just like anything else in New York State, and it becomes more cost effective to replace them than to rebuild them, which we have done in the past. So we need to replace 3 trailers, and that's actually out of our current operating budget. So.
First by legislator Twist, second by legislator Holst. Okay, I just want to be clear that this is the Spectre, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I was looking both different. Yeah, he talked too much. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, carries. Okay, that's the second one. Furnish the concrete necessary work to be performed. And I believe that falls on you as well, Mark.
That's correct.
No, Kurt.
This is our annual concrete bid we do every year so that we can have, concrete if we need some on our bridges or to make our Jersey barriers or whatever we need concrete for. We sent out a few bids. We had one responder and that was Northern. So I would recommend it.
Motion moved. First by legislator Lockwood, second by legislator Holst. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, next is the tires.
Yeah, we, put out a little different bid this year. We usually was just for, highway. We tried to, look down the road as far as everybody being able to look at everybody else's inventory with the new unit system coming up. So we kind of did an open bid between solid waste, buildings and grounds, sheriffs. We went around and collected all the information from each one of those entities and, put them in a bid. As you can see, there was quite a few bidders that it was sent to. And, I think, the low bidder was Syracuse Retreads, who is our current, supplier right now. So, we recommend to go there and we'll see how it works out for everybody.
I just
Move
had,
for discussion, legislator Martino.
had two questions. You're buying retreads on some equipment, or are you talking about trucks that you're buying retreads?
Syracuse Retreaders is just the name of the company.
Okay. And the second is, I believe there's a standardization resolution on Goodyear that requires us to buy Goodyear. So this low bid has Goodyear.
All bidders that were, I realized, and I knew that we had to standardize. So all bidders that was sent out to, all they were was Goodyear dealers.
Okay.
As you can see, it was Long Park in Syracuse, another Goodyear in Fisher Road in Syracuse, Talmadge Tire in Waterloo, Syracuse Retreaders, Hiawatha Boulevard, and Big Four Tire, First Street, East Syracuse. So yes, I did
Yeah.
realize that.
Okay. Just so we follow the standardization resolution. Right. Yeah.
I would like to point out, we do buy a lot of retreads for our trucks, because going up in the landfill, we chew them up, and it's more cost effective than chewing up new tires.
Well,
So
that's a
we do-
little different than police cars and stuff.
Right, what I'm just saying, so we do, there are some that are retreads.
We do also. We just don't retread steer tires.
Understand. First by legislator Martino, second by legislator Holst. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Okay, Kurt.
This is our annual bid for bridge decking for, not only for our new bridges, but for any repairs that we come to. It's corrugated decking that we use on top of the beams. It can either be covered with concrete or covered with blacktop. So, we put a bid out for it, and we, Big R Bridge Manufacturing is the cheapest. Their response time is a little bit longer, but we've had pretty good luck with Big R Bridge. We kind of like they're all supposed to be 3.5 by 9 as far as the span and the rise. But we just seem to have a little bit better luck with that. Big R Bridge, everything seems to match pretty well when we get it. So,
You know, they were a little bit, right?
yeah.
Understand, so you go for Big R back? Understand. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, carries. That's it, we have a capital project update.
The monthly OTAS update on where we're on our project. Just chugging along on them, if we can see. Any questions?
No, HVAC, LOB, brickwork, everyone's, I know you went through on that. One capital project, we do have to go into executive session after, correct, Rich? At the end. Okay, so I believe that's everything we have. With, that being said, I do have one thing I'd like to discuss. I spoke with Phil about briefly. It was brought to my attention recently that, not too long ago, when we had put the apprenticeship language in place, for many reasons that I could go on for, but we put the apprenticeship language into place to cover ourselves, make sure we had qualified individuals working these jobs. We recently, on our DMV Record Center project, one of the contractors there was not compliant with this. Upon looking into it, from what I understand, I'm speaking with John, that it may not have been in the bid spec, correct?
Correct.
And I mean, this is something that, there's many reasons why we went to this, and I can't express the importance of this. And I know that we've looked and reviewed all of the current bids that are out there now, and which this will be added. It actually, it was already in the other ones, correct? But for some reason, it was not in with this.
I don't know. We do have draft language now from our Onondaga that will be added into every bid. So this is a requirement from here on out. I've also talked to John about making sure that any engineer or architect that writes specs for us under contract is also supplied with this, as well as a copy of the resolution the legislature passed, I think, in March of 2018.
What's their shot?
Can I examine the bid document?
Yeah, they're all online. Or if you want.
Who can print me one today?
Yeah, is that one online, or that's?
I'm not
the
gonna
big
go online, I
construction
just wanna get it printed today. Can I do that?
It's a past bid. I don't know if you can easily access it to print it. To tell you the truth, we have
Do
to,
we have a copy of the book, bid book?
we got the spec book in my office. I do have a spec book
Alright.
in my office. Yeah.
I want a copy of it. As soon as I can get it, I'll wait around today, whatever it takes.
There's two volumes. Do you just want the front end or the back?
I don't
This
know,
is-
I'm willing to
this is
look
the-
at anything, I wanna see it, because this is critical. We have got local workforce, talented workforce. People are exiting upstate New York at 60,000 people a year. Our property taxes are ridiculous. We need skin in the game with local workforce, and it is near and dear to my heart, and I really am deeply disturbed by this. So I really wanna look this over.
I agree. I had a chance to meet with Rich and with Phil, and we were gonna make sure we do everything to make sure this does not happen again. I know this particular project, the fact that with the OTAS funds, we have that deadline, the October 1 deadline, correct? And we're trying to do what we can do now, and I know John's gonna be meeting with the project manager and speaking about the other different trades that are coming in from us forward to see what we can do at this point and go forward. But I want some reassurance that this is not gonna happen again, and I believe that this will.
I mean, the fact that we voted on this though, wouldn't that automatically carry through? I mean,
You have to show, pretty sure you have to show the bidder though what they're bidding on, right? Their parameters within.
is Onondaga County
There,
retaining a copy of our requirements for that?
that's what I gotta look into as to whether that requirement got transferred to them or not.
I think
not
we
done
should
with that.
transfer right out of them, because it has been nothing but a nightmare. And I really don't think they have Oswego County in the forefront of anything. Their department was partially broke, and that's why they took us on. If we're gonna partner with anybody, let's partner with ourselves. These department heads have gone through hell to try to get tiny items. I mean, it's ridiculous. How can you have a workflow when you can't beg, borrow, or steal anything? And I really wanna know if Onondaga County has a copy of this.
Yeah, if they don't, then I don't wanna place blame on them if they were not.
If they do, I mean, we have a 4 month, I was reassured we could get out of that in 4 months. And I really want a divorce from them sooner than later.
Really, don't sugarcoat it, Bree.
Right, but I'm sick of, you know, the ball's sticky and everybody hates them and they're passing it. But nobody quite will put it on the table and let's vote on it. I say we get rid of them immediately. Give them notice, 4 months. We can pull it together.
So I think there's a lot of great points, but all I wanted to know was this won't happen again. We wanna make sure that we keep not only qualified workers, get the job done, make sure that our buildings stay standing, but also local workers that put in it all possible. I think that just makes sense. I think he makes great points. As far as the other stuff, I think that's down the road, we definitely have to look at options, but,
Keep down.
but I think, I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. We gotta make sure that stays, it's a lot.
I agree. I believe we have two different things, the Onondaga issue as well
But
as
it's
this one. I
co-mingled
agree.
maybe on this issue.
Oh, I agree.
I wanna
We're
know.
Definitely going to look into it. I agree with you 100%.
Just in terms of reassurance of this not happening again, when I learned of this Friday, I immediately contacted John, and asked him to go through all the rest of the contracts we have to determine, if the vendors, even if it wasn't in the spec, can they offer this apprenticeship anyway? So it's in the process of doing that, and I think we're in pretty good shape there. I also talked to Onondaga, about this, well, also, as I said, I talked to John about providing the resolution to all of our standard engineers and architects who write specs, because it's not always Onondaga writing the spec. I also called Onondaga to make sure that they're aware of this. They said they weren't aware of it, but by today they had this language drafted up for me to review, to include in every single bid spec that involves construction over 100,000, which is the requirement. So that's what's happened since Friday when we learned of this. Trying to make sure that, to rectify as much as we can the current project and ensure that it doesn't happen again going forward.
I agree. I agree. Okay, that being said, anyone else want anything to say? Understood. Okay, well, we'll be getting together afterwards and see if I'd like the opportunity to sit down with Pat and they, I mean, he was instrumental in helping us draft some of this stuff together. So it really worked out well. And I believe that's everything on our agenda. Yes, we have to look for a motion to go into executive session.
It's regarding pending litigation, Booley Associates versus County of Oswego, County of Onondaga et al.
Thank you.
Second.
First by legislator Martino, second by legislator Twist. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We'll be going into executive session.